Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Event Explorer. I'm your host, Daniel Roth, and today we are diving into one of the world's most vibrant and culturally significant celebrations, Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead. This tradition, with roots in ancient Mesoamerican civilizations, honors the lives of loved ones who have passed. It's celebrated in cities across Mexico and the U.S., with major events in places like San Antonio, Tucson, Mexico City, and Oaxaca, each adding its own unique flavor to this deeply meaningful festival. At its core, Dia de los Muertos is about remembering and celebrating those who have come before us, with beautifully decorated ofrendas, marigolds, and the iconic calaveras, or skulls, all meant to guide and honor the spirits of the dead. Now, while many cities have long established Dia de los Muertos celebrations, Santa Fe's version is a newer addition, having officially launched in 2022. But in just a short time, it has grown rapidly thanks to the city's long history of community events and festivals, including the 300-year-old Fiestas de Santa Fe and the 100-year-old Zozobra Festival. Now, Santa Fe is no stranger to unique and meaningful celebrations, and its Dia de los Muertos quickly became an important event in the city's cultural calendar. In today's episode, I'll be speaking with Ray Sandoval, a key figure in Santa Fe's cultural landscape and the driving force behind the Zozobra Festival and Santa Fe's Dia de los Muertos. Ray's family's deep ties to Santa Fe go back centuries, and his work has brought new life to the city's most iconic events. We'll explore how the Dia de los Muertos celebration in Santa Fe came to be, why it's resonating so strongly with the community, and what makes it different from other celebrations in the US and Mexico. Ray is going to share his vision for the event, explaining how Santa Fe's deep cultural history and its artistic spirit have helped make Dia de los Muertos a powerful and inclusive celebration. From the stunning ofrendas on the plaza to glow-in-the-dark parades and Aztec dancers, Santa Fe's version of Dia de los Muertos has its own unique flair while staying true to the heart of the tradition. Join us as we explore the journey of Santa Fe's Dia de los Muertos and discover why it's quickly becoming a must-see celebration. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget to subscribe and share this episode, and let's continue exploring the world's most unforgettable events together. Let's get to it. All right, today we are joined by Ray Sandoval, a major force behind some of Santa Fe's most iconic cultural events. With deep family roots in the city dating back centuries, Ray has a special connection to Santa Fe's traditions and history. He's been at the helm of Zozobra since 2013, breathing new life into the 100-year-old celebration. And in 2022, he launched Santa Fe's very own Dia de los Muertos festival. We'll be talking with him today about his journey as an event promoter, how these celebrations come together, and what's in store for this year's Dia de los Muertos on the plaza. Ray, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I really appreciate this.
Yeah. It's a really beautiful story. All the different events that you've got going on in Santa Fe. I'm familiar. I've been to Santa Fe a number of times in my life. I'm very moved by it and the art and culture that's come out of it. Recently, hitting the global stages with things like Meow Wolf, the Santa Fe art scene, a lot of really modern art coming out. So it's just so cool. And you're really tied into all of that. So tell me about your history of Santa Fe and kind of growing up there and what was it like kind of culturally and how did that change you and make you the person you are today?
I feel so fortunate, Santa Fe for being such a small city. And I think, when I was born, I think we were like 40,000 people, right? Yet Santa Fe had some of the best art galleries, some of the best restaurants. We would walk down to La Fonda and there'd be shops that would say London, Paris, New York, Santa Fe, and so it's like the biggest, it was so crazy to live in such an amazing cosmopolitan city that was so small. And I really do give a lot of credit to the art scene that was here because, first of all, Santa Fe is a magical place. If your listeners haven't visited, please come visit us. The light, the architecture, the food, there is just the energy here is just amazing. And, I've traveled all over, lived in different places, and they're great. But there is something about the energy that is here. And so growing up here was almost living in kind of a bubble, to be quite honest with you. It was very, as I said, cosmopolitan, but at the same time, it was small town, right? So you'd go to a family reunion, then you'd meet another 10 cousins that you didn't know that you had. You had these festivals and these traditions that were throughout the city. You had these huge art cultures, Indian market, which is the oldest indigenous market, just turned 100 last year. You have Spanish market, which is a type of, New Mexico Spanish colonial art that was, brought over in the 1600s and still survives today. And so it was just an amazing place to grow up. And I'm very fortunate because my mother's family was actually in the expedition with Peralta to do mapping. He was a mapper, and so he came very very early on in 1610, and I guess we all fell in love with it because we're still here.
That's so cool. What a deep connection to the area and to this just what a unique way to grow up and to really be a part of a culture that we not everyone especially in the US has these deep roots. So tell me about kind of you said you lived away and then came back to Santa Fe. How was your career trajectory kind of brought you to the point you're at today?
It's I moved to DC. I was always very much involved in politics, very interested in politics. So I moved to DC, got an internship in the White House, moved up to Boston to get my law degree, came back to New Mexico to start practicing law, and then I really wanted to start my own law firm, and so I moved up to Seattle, and I started a very successful practice up there. Unfortunately, my father got ill, and we have such huge bonds that moved back to kind of help take care of him. And fortunately, he got better. And I had just, taken my entire firm apart, and so I really didn't want to do that. And so I was looking for other things to do, and that really is when I decided I would get more involved in some of the events around town.
Very cool. And then, so I imagine, Zozobra is 100 years old. So you grew up seeing these events. What were these some of these early memories of going to events, personally, and how it touched you?
Well, first of all, it was amazing because like our plaza is the center of our town, right? Everybody goes to the plaza. The plaza is the meeting place. It is like a sacred place. And it's amazing to grow up in a place to where there's a sense of place and a sense of purpose in the middle of your town. And we'll talk a little bit later about Dia and why I really felt it was important to be on the plaza. But the plaza was the place to go. And so, we were celebrating, when I was a kid, we were celebrating 290 years of Yes to the Santa Fe, the oldest continuous celebration in the United States. And then Zozobra, who at that time, just this year Zozobra turned 100, and he's the new kid on the block. So, that tells you a lot about the city. But I will say that something about our culture is that there's a deep respect for making promises and keeping those promises. And so, there's a saying in Santa Fe, a promise made has to be a promise kept. And so it's one of the reasons why these events have such longevity is that there's a real sacred bond between the events and the city. And so people really step up to take over those events and, pass the torch, as it were.
Speaking of torches, we just got past the Zozobra event, the 100th anniversary. Congratulations, and you've been at the helm of that for now 12 years. So, that's a credit to you in your stewardship that it's kept going and even growing. There's a long history there, and it's very cool. It's not something as I read about it, I was just shocked with what a cool cultural iconic event that, just to be honest, I didn't know about. I knew a lot about Santa Fe. I knew a lot about, different we were talking about Burning Man is kind of has some iconic some iconographic similarities, iconographic similarities, but I didn't know about Zozobra, and it really is a staple, and it is something that's super unique, but celebrated and sounds awesome. Can you give a little bit of a background of Zozobra and then take us up to this year of kind of what you offered with the event?
Absolutely. Zozobra is Santa Fe's boogeyman, right? And it was created by a gentleman named Will Schuster who moved to Santa Fe in the 1920s after being mustard gas in the trenches of World War I in France. Went back to Philadelphia, was told that he could die in Philadelphia as a young man, or he could come out to the West and die of rattlesnakes and whiskey. And so he chose rattlesnake to whiskey. So he gets here and he meets up with John Sloan, who's kind of this Renaissance guy, and the art scene is really starting in Santa Fe, and so they're thinking about doing things and so forth. And they were called Five Nuts in a Hut, the Cinco Pintores. They were five gentlemen that lived together and would share their, when they would sell a painting, they would share it. So that way they could all survive a couple of months and then somebody else would sell a painting. And one Christmas Eve, Schuster sells a painting that he's been working on, tell them all, the heck with it. Who cares what happened? It's Christmas Eve. There's this new hotel, La Fonda, that opened up in Santa Fe. Let's go out and I'm tired of having beans and rice. Let's have some steak and some tequila. And so they go to the restaurant and everyone's in a really bad mood. And Schuster, he's kind of upset at this. And so he always had this pad of paper where he would sketch down things that he saw that were interesting. And he takes it down and he cajoled them to write down what was bothering them. And he puts it in the middle of the table and he takes the candle and he lights it on fire and he declares that their gloom is gone. Well, of course, the bartender comes back, sees that there's a fire on the table and kicks them all out on their butts, right? So they're now out on the plaza and they're laughing about this. And so Schuster gets this idea that, that the power of writing things down, when we sign contracts, when we take the time to write something down, there's a power in that. And so he comes up with this concept that you can write down what's bothering you and symbolically burn it away. And so he's kind of looking for this vessel of how he can do this. And so he's taken down to a Good Friday celebration in Mexico and he sees an effigy of Judas that paraded through the town. People spit at it, they throw their shoes at it, and then they burn it. And so he decides, oh, this is the perfect thing. I need an effigy to capture all this gloom. But one of the things I think is really special about Zozobra is that Zozobra is not political, nor is it religious. Zozobra is created from the gloom that we as human beings put out, either when we put out gloom into the world with others or create gloom for ourselves. So all this negative energy manifests itself into this 50-foot boogeyman that wants to come in and destroy Santa Fe. And so there's this beautiful mythology that, okay, so the Zobra now exists and he's going to come and terrorize our city and take away all of our hope. How do you get rid of that gloom? And what's so beautiful about the story is that Schuster says that just as we created the Zobra with all of our gloom, there's another part of human beings, which is when we're good, when we're selfless, that creates another spirit, and that's the fire spirit. And so the fire spirit is able to accumulate and materialize and then do battle with the Zobra. And so you have this good versus evil, this light versus dark battle between the two. And so every year, the citizens of Santa Fe have to show up in order to give that positive energy to the fire spirit, so that way the fire spirit can go into the Zobra.
So it's this secular, artistic, cultural manifestation that just kind of comes to life only in Santa Fe. It is so you as a kid, was this opera like something that you thought might be real? Kind of, it was
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny because, I said, these Santa Fe's boogeyman, your parents, when you misbehave, they wouldn't tell you that there was a monster in your bed. They told you the Dobra was coming for you, right? And you had seen this thing. It was 50 feet tall and it moved, its eyes moved and it groaned and so forth. And so, a lot of kids behave very, very quickly when their parents told them that the Dobra was coming after them.
perfect, perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna use that one, I think, with my 9-year-old. Um, so that, this kind of artistic statement and this, obviously a big burning, effigy is gonna draw people in. The event's grown over the years. Kind of how did that story develop to the point it is today? And what did the event look like, in 2024?
So you're absolutely right. It was one of the best kept secrets. You said that as you go through, you just found out about the Zobra. There's a lot of people that don't know about the Zobra, and I do think that it's one of the best kept secrets. Zozobra started off as a small community celebration. So Schuster started with a 5-foot Zozobra in his backyard in 1924. It was so popular that people asked him to repeat it in 1926, and then or in 25, excuse me, and then by 26, they had 500 people in their backyard, and they decided they couldn't do this anymore. They had to actually move it out to a public space, and so the Zobra has always been popular. And it's funny because I described the Zobra as the city of Santa Fe had a love affair with this monster, right? So we have a kids contest poster where they draw the Zobra that so we can sell it for little posters. This year we got 600 entries, and I can't judge anymore because seeing the Zobra in crayon, I'm like I like that one, I like that one. I'm like okay, I can't do this anymore. But it really has been a part of our culture where you see the Zobra everywhere. There are murals with the Zobra. You You go down to Baja Tacos and there's the Zobra, in flip flops and a Hawaiian shirt, grabbing some
Yes.
tacos before he leaves. He's part of our culture, part of our history, and it's really great to just see it come alive. And not only just when the Zobra, gets there and he moans and groans as a 50-foot marionette, but the fact that we see him through all of these different phases through the city.
And the original founder, I mean, it was 100 years ago, so he's no longer building Zozobra. Who puts this? Who builds Zozobra now, and how big has he gotten?
Yeah, so Zozobra started out, as I said, 5 feet, quickly moved to 20 feet, then got to about 38 feet. He shrunk back down for 2 years during World War II when supplies were pretty scarce, back down to 5 feet. And then he has grown to 50 feet, 6 inches today. And in 1964, Schuster had a heart attack and started to look for who he was going to give the Dobra to. And Harold Gans was a member of the Kiwanis Club of Santa Fe. This is a service organization like ALPS or Rotary. Our mission is to help young kids. And so he went to Schuster and said, listen, we can do two things for you. We can burn a Will Schuster Zozobra in perpetuity, and we can sell tickets and we can sell T-shirts. And the net proceeds that we make, we can give that back into our community in terms of scholarships and grants for nonprofits that would help kids. And so Schuster thought about it for a while and he decided that that's what he wanted to do, that he wanted to give back to the community. And so now you have this amazing event that is a cultural, historic icon, right? And so you're looking back and keeping up that promise from the past, but you're educating and you're investing in our future generations. And so it's an amazing event, both on both sides of the timeline.
Really beautiful. So now is there kind of the festival trappings that come with Zozobra, and it becomes kind of a full fledged entertainment almost event or cultural entertainment event?
Yeah, absolutely. We try to make it a world-class event, right? So there are premium viewing sections and there's risers and there's fired performers that are perform beforehand. There are local band who come out and perform. There is festival food. And so, this year we had just under 80,000 people who attended the event. And it was a record for us, this being the Zobra's 100th year. But yes, it is very much a festival event. All the things, the trappings that go with that, logistics, security, just all of those different things, porta potties, of course, right? Tents,
Sure.
those kind of things that are just that come through. And what's so funny is that we were going through some old papers the other day, and we found a 1960 budget, and it was like $2,000 for the entire event. This was construction, fireworks, and we just spent 1.2 million on this last event putting it together. So, very, very different time.
Sure, fabulous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, so you took over in 2013. Was the event like it is today in 2013, or have you grown? I know you had a vision for it, so you've grown it over these years. Um, how did you see that there was kind of that potential there? Did you just kind of have faith and know there was a passion there?
I think that there is. So, first of all, one of the things that draws me to events is the fact that events remind us that there's more that we share in common as human beings than divide us, right? And when we
Mhm.
get off of our phones and we get off of Twitter and off of Facebook and we actually interact with one another, it really does a good thing for our society, right? So, I'm always looking for those kind of events. And so, Zozobra, I mean, first of all, from a primal, just human, watching a 50-foot effigy burn that you wrote down your glue or you put your divorce papers in, or you put in something that was personal that you wanted to burn. That on its own level is just an amazing experience, right? But then you add in the fact that you're with 60,000 of your closest friends. So there's this dichotomy to the event, which is that you're in a huge crowd and you're all chanting, burn him, right? And that's something just really tribal of it. There's fire, there's all these things that are going on. But then at the same time, you're having a uniquely individual experience because you yourself know what you are trying to get rid of or what you're trying to do to leave in the past and kind of make something better. And so I always knew that Schuster hit the jackpot in terms of, being able to really reach human beings on these two levels that, we want to be social. And at the same time, we also want things that matter individually to us. And so putting these two together was a magic recipe. So when I took over in 2012, we had moved this over from a Friday night to a Thursday because our we were part of the Fiesta de Santa Fe, and the police force could not be in different the entire police force couldn't be in locations at the same time. And so it was decided that the Zobra would move to a Thursday. And what happened immediately was we lost our kids, right? It was a school
Mm.
night. People decided, hey, can't do this because it's a Thursday night. And so our crowds dwindled to about 20,000. And to me, losing our kids was just, it's a death nail for any tradition. If you don't have kids, you don't excite them, there's not going to be anybody to carry on your tradition. So when I took over, I went back to the city and said, okay, I get that the police force can't be in three locations at once. So I'm going to ask to move back to Labor Day weekend, which is the week before the San Jose Fiesta. So that way we don't have that problem. And the other thing was not only would I be able to invite our kids back, but I'd be able to invite all of our expatriates because Labor Day weekend is on a federal holiday. So you have a 4-day weekend. So all of those people who left Santa Fe could now bring their kids back to experience this amazing cultural tradition. And I think that has been really an amazing part of this because the event itself was amazing. We just had to just get it to a point where we could really share it with the world.
And now you're drawing in, you're selling hotel rooms, restaurants are full all weekend, art is being sold and people are being able to come home and show a culture that's maybe only been described to their kids, if they move to, wherever, California, New York. So now they can give that experience. So what a benefit culturally and economically to the city. So some of the things that you've mentioned tie into Dia de los Muertos, the idea of writing something down and burning it, as this kind of release, and the idea of this personal yet communal cathartic event, the symbology, there's a lot, and Dia de los Muertos, I'm sure it's been celebrated in Santa Fe for a long time, but not kind of officially. And you headed this up in 2022 and it's now grown to really be accepted. And I've seen the videos and the pictures from it. I mean, it's a gorgeous event and it's super well attended. It's in the right spot, right in the plaza. Tell me, where'd that inspiration come from? I know I can see a little bit. Zozobra will be that inspiration, and we just want to have, throw bigger and better events and parties and celebrations. When did the inspiration strike to make this happen in Santa Fe?
Well, it kind of like Schuster finding the Zozobra, burning something and then finding a vehicle for it. It kind of happened in two stages. So the first was that, when I took over Zozobra, one of the things that I learned was that our Mexican community on the south side of the city wasn't attending Zozobra, right? And
Interesting.
so, and this is Zozobra is a celebration for everybody. So I went into those neighborhoods, I went into those businesses, and I really tried to get folks and the Zober is kind of a weird thing. So if you don't grow up with it, you got it's great to look at videos and so forth, but you got to experience it to really understand what it's about because
Hmm.
it's just kind of this kooky thing that Santa Fe does, and I couldn't make that cultural connection. And the other thing that I found out was that our Mexican population did not feel comfortable coming downtown to our plaza. And as a lifelong Santa Fean, that just bothered me on every level because I want our plaza to be a place where everybody kind of feels welcome. And so, I was thinking about what do I do? I got to figure out how to make that connection with Zobra. And then I remember going to go see Coco with my mom in theaters, right? And I had heard about Day of the Dead, and I never really, had that much, experience with it. It's not something that my family celebrated. And so all of a sudden, it was like, wow. Because again, Zozobra is that event where you are looking introspectively at yourself to say, hey, what did I do to create gloom? What am I doing to be a better person? But Dia de los Muertos is an opportunity for us to look back on the people that actually got us here. We're standing on the shoulders of those people and to take an opportunity to take a moment to remember those people who got you here, that great, 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 great grandfather that got on a ship from Spain who came to New Mexico to do maps, those kind of things. It's just like that's an amazing part to be. And again, I just think that in our crazy TikTok, 24-hour news cycle world, we don't have enough of these opportunities to either for self-reflection, which is really what I love about Zozobra, but also about reflection about those who got you here, both on good and bad, right? There were things that my ancestors did here that we're still struggling with. decade later. And so you honor both the good and the bad, and you hope that you learn from the bad so that way you're not repeating them. So I see Coco and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. This is like I can create the land of the dead on the Santa Fe Plaza. I can put black light all over the place and really make everything pop and glow in the dark and really do these kind of things. And so I remember talking with our Kiwanis club, and they're like, "Well, it's a little close to Zozobra. Come on, that's 8 weeks. Like, we got time to rest, right?" And so they're like, "Well, okay, maybe let's do this." And so we started reaching out to some of our Mexican groups. We reached out to the Mexican consulate, and one of the things that's really important about event, especially when you take on an event like Dia de los Muertos, is that you want to be very careful that you are not doing cultural appropriation or that you're not offending somebody, right? So, okay, I have this great idea. I want to do this, but I've never celebrated this. This isn't something that was part of my culture, so I don't want to get it wrong. And so, by enlisting people that had been celebrating in Santa Fe for a very long time, and said, "Hey, I want to bring this to the plaza," and to watch their eyes just light up because the plaza is like that's it. That's the biggest stage in our city. And so people really came out, and it was amazing to see the outpouring from our communities, from our libraries, from our museums, from our city staff that just said yes, that they wanted this. And so it was something that just kind of came together. And, one of the things that I like to do is, Santa Fe is known as the city different, right? Because we do things differently. And so part of what I wanted to do was to create an authentic Dia de los Muertos experience, but at the same time, I wanted it to have Santa Fe's own little flavor, right? And so the glow in the dark was something that was really cool about this. And then the other thing was that I wanted people to be able to participate. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. Cause like, if you show up to the plaza, how can we put, that deceased loved one, how can they join the celebration? And so all of a sudden I was like, I think Polaroids are back. And so I went on Amazon and I found out that, kids in Japan really started this craze. And so now you have these little tiny Polaroids that come out with a 2x3. And I'm like, okay, can I bring a 2x3 inch frame? And so we were able to find those frames. And so one of the things that's really cool is that you can come to our event and we can actually take a Polaroid of a photo that's on your phone of a loved one, print it out, put it into a little frame, and then you can put it on an ofrenda. So that way you can participate in our activities as well. And that's something that I think is really important.
That's yeah. So that is a big piece. What the ofrenda, the idea of I'll let you explain it a little bit. So you must have. I mean, what a cool journey that you've been on yourself. It's a new world tradition, right? This is Dia de los Muertos is maybe when you hear it and it's in Spanish, you think, oh yeah, it's from Spain. It's been going on thousands of years. No, this is a new world, an American, South American tradition. Even dating back to the Aztecs, right? Or they think. What did your research find, and how did it kind of propel what you programmed the event with?
Yeah,
What has to be at a Dia de los Muertos festival?
I definitely the ofrendas, right? And so the ofrendas are basically altars, and normally they're like three altars and what you do is that you decorate those altars with pictures of loved ones, right? And it's important to do that because having that picture of a loved one, their memory stays fresh, and they're able to then leave the land of the dead and for this one day come and visit with you. And so you put on, a picture of your grandfather, and then people have packs of cigarettes that person used to smoke, or a bottle of tequila, right? Their favorite bottle of tequila, or for my grandfather, he loved sunflower seeds. He's the one who got me addicted to sunflower seeds, and so there are sunflower seeds that are on the ofrenda next to him, and it's just a really personal way to remember that person and remember their life and the things that they liked and those kind of things. And so that is the most important thing, is to have those ofrendas. And what I found was that there were, add to what you're speaking to, is that this is a new world, right? So this is something that the Aztecs were celebrating. And then when the Spanish brought over Catholicism and tried to force Catholicism on some of our native people, there was a mixture of kind of Catholicism with what had been practiced before. And it turned out into this a beautiful celebration. And so one of the things that we did is that we were looking for Aztec dancers, and we have a group of Aztec dancers in our city, of course, in Santa Fe, right? And it amazes me because we're such a small town, but like the things that you find, and so called them up, and Patricia was like, What you're doing? What you're doing it? Where? Yes, we want to do this." And so they get dressed in the regalia and the sacred robes that they have, and they get incense. And so one of the things that leads off our glow in the dark parade on Saturday night is that we have a blessing from our Aztec dancers with incense and smudge, and they go to each of the ofrendas and they bless it. And it's just beautiful, and it's meaningful, and it's just really something that just it tugs at your heartstrings because it is important to remember those who came before you. The marigold, the yellow flower that is, or orange, I should say, that is everywhere, and it's the scent that is supposed to bring the dead, to the place where you're asking them to come. And so all the ofrendas are decorated with this fragrance that you have from the marigold. And so we have a gentleman who owns a hotel in Santa Fe and went down to the nursery and in July started them to start growing them so that they would be ready in time. And so that morning, that Saturday morning, we have 1,000 marigolds that are real and delivered to us on our plaza. And so just the beautiful orange mixed with the falling leaves. Um, and then the paper papeles, we've all kind of seen these. These are pieces of paper that have cutouts in them, and they have different symbols in them. They have skulls in them. They have guitars. They have just different things. And to really to decorate our plaza as if it's completely the land of the dead, and I love our plaza, and I've attended many events, but I really wanted to go over the top. And so the decorations, the colors, we have all of these really cool inflatable. Halloween became this big celebration, and so you don't just have Santa Claus anymore. Now you have jack o' lanterns and stuff. Well, that has now moved over to Dia de los Muertos, and so you'll have we have huge Dia de los Muertos mariachis. They're holding a guitar. We have little we have dogs and cats that are just boned with the faces on them, and it gives the kids an opportunity to go and take pictures and to touch it and to look at it. And then we also started space painting. This was something that was really important to us. And so we have 9 face painters that I feel so bad for them. They work from about 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 o'clock. It's all free, and they don't have a second break. There's the lines are just long, and to see the kids getting their faces painted and to ask questions of their parents, well, what are we doing? And then, why is grandpa, why is there a picture of grandpa on our plaza? And then to watch the parents explain and to see the pride well up, in a kid that their relative is being honored in this way on the Santa Fe Plaza. It's just something that's so special, and it really is endearing.
That is so touching, and yeah, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up on, and the idea of kind of just how many special moments this is creating, and the idea that you're drawing from an existing culture that didn't feel like they had kind of ownership over the main space, and now you're bringing, the South Side up, or this, this Latino population up into the main plaza. Has that had an influence on, Santa Fe's so well known for the visual art scene? Has your event had an influence on, and are you seeing kind of more of that work its way into how Santa Fe defines itself?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to tell you that the first year we had a mariachi group from Capitol High, which is on the south side, and many of the members are second generation Mexicans who had moved in with their parents. And I remember that they performed on the plaza, and they're leaving, and there's this young man about 16 years old, and man, he was bawling, like he was just crying. And I didn't know if somebody had said something rude to him. I didn't know if he had, he tripped over a nail or whatever.
What's
You
going
just
on?
don't know, right? And so, the event organizer, so I ran over to him right away, and I said, what happened? Are you okay? And he looked at me and he told me that he never thought he would perform on the Plaza Bandstand. And it was just such an honor that he was filled with this emotion to have
Wow.
his family there and his friends there seeing him perform on the Plaza. And it was just so special to him, you know. And I've had other folks that say, no, you need to move this to the south side because it'll be easier for folks to get there. And I'm like, This isn't about making it easier for folks to get it. If that is it, then we'll work with our transit folks to help get buses in. But this is about creating a space where people feel comfortable and they feel honored about their and share their own culture, right? And that way we can all learn from that and learn that, there are these intrinsic things to being human, and understanding our mortality is not a bad thing, right? To remember that we're only here for a short amount of time, and to remember those who came before us, and the good and the bad that they did. So that way we learn from their life experience as well, I think is really, really important. So, I've had a lot of people say, oh my God, this is so amazing. Let's move this to the South Side. And I resisted that because I really do think that the plaza is the heart of Santa Fe, and any big celebration belongs in the city of our, the center of our city.
Amazing. And you are owning it and bringing it, bringing so much to it. From someone who's not from Santa Fe, how can they approach the event? How should they feel kind of coming and prepare themselves to experience this in 2024, 2025 if they make it next year?
Well, one of the things that I really love about Santa Fe is that, the second that you get here within 5 minutes, you're going to feel like, your family, right? People just take you under their wings. They'll tell you what to do. They'll do stuff. So the first thing is, come and experience this and enjoy it. It's going to be something that you're really going to love. Come prepared with, if you have photos, we have frames so that way you can honor your loved one and an ofrenda. Or if you don't, like I said, we'll take the photograph from that, get your space painted, somebody will come up to you, ask you to dance. You willing to, to dance and participate. After the blessings from the altars by our Aztec dancers, we then do a glow in the dark parade with candles and moigangas. And grab your family here. Grab, participate. You don't have to just be an observer. If you want to just observe, that's fantastic. But go. We'll hand you a candle. We'll hand you glow in the dark stuff. Walk with us, remember your loved one. We have a digital ofrenda where if we can actually take the photo off of your phone and put it into our slideshow, and we have these huge screens that we can actually portray that on, right? So, come in and participate to the extent that you want to participate. Everyone's going to welcome you. And please don't feel like, none of us know what we're doing. So it's okay. We'll figure it out kind of together. And I think that it is about creating community and making sure that folks are welcome and making sure that people, and what's really great about this too is that, our Mexican community, they help people to understand, and never in a way of, oh, you're doing this wrong or you shouldn't do that. And let me explain to you a little bit about this, right? And it's a very warm kind of welcome to the city and to the festival. So, please come. It's all free. So come and enjoy yourself. October, a little chilly sometimes in late October. This year, we'll actually be on Dia de los Muertos. So it's Friday, November 1st and Saturday, November 2nd. So bring a little bit of a pullover. You might want to be able to, as that sun goes down, it does get cold in early November in Tampa.
Sure, sure. Well, it sounds amazing and a little chilly, but candles to warm and you've got, thousands of your closest new friends and family that are going to be there with you. And it's really, really touching that, as we discussed, this is an organic tradition, for people in the new world in North and South America. And without people carrying it on, it won't keep going. And there's obviously, from yes, the popularity of Coco, but as well, I think there's so many visual touchstones there that people really do connect to it and know. And I think the more you touch base with it and the more you connect with it, the more it gives back to you, and you can just have so much more meaning in your life. So that everyone can be a part of it is amazing, and that you and your team are making it bigger, every year, getting everyone involved, celebrating cultures that haven't been celebrated. I mean, congratulations.
Thank
Um,
you.
I now I want to come. So I will make
Me
plans.
too.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I know it'll be uniquely special in Santa Fe and uniquely beautiful and meaningful in your particular location. So congratulations. I wish you all the luck on the festival this year, and then we'll be chatting again, hopefully, as you continue to grow and have more events in your town. So thank you so much for joining today.
No, Daniel, thank you. And thank you for doing this. I do think that we live in such a special country, right? There's just all these different little things that have grown up. And you go to New Orleans and the French influence, you go into the Midwest and you have different cultures. We need to celebrate those cultures and to
Yes.
have podcasts that put this in front of folks and let them learn about it, let them travel and explore this for themselves. You do a great service for us. So I'm just very pleased to be on it and very grateful. So thank you for shining a light on our Dia de los Muertos celebration.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure everybody will get a kick out of it, and I'll share tons of photos and video. I'll get those out from you after this, and just to get people enticed, because as soon as you see it, you kind of want to go see it for yourself. So. All right. Well, take care. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.
Thank you, Dan.
Well, that was an incredible journey through Santa Fe's Dia de los Muertos celebration. In just a few short years, this event has grown into a vibrant and meaningful part of Santa Fe's cultural fabric, combining the city's rich history of festivals with the deeply personal and communal traditions of honoring the dead. From the colorful ofrendas on the plaza to the glow-in-the-dark parades and the inclusion of Santa Fe's diverse community, Ray Sandoval and his team have created something truly special. As we've seen today, Santa Fe may be a newer player in the world of Dia de los Muertos celebrations, but its deep-rooted festival traditions, spanning more than 300 years, have helped this event thrive and grow rapidly. Now, if you haven't experienced a Dia de los Muertos for yourself, seek one out near you, or travel to Santa Fe and become part of their amazing cultural heritage. So thank you for exploring with me on this episode of Event Explorer. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with your friends so we can continue to uncover and celebrate the world's most incredible events together. Until next time, keep seeking out your own new cultural traditions and happy exploring.